What's up, guys? Welcome to the Second Take. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jonah.
He's back after a 2-week hiatus, but he's back and better than ever.
I had final exams. I had Thanksgiving with the family. Excuses.
He was basking in the glory of the Cowboys. Don't let him fool you.
10 wins in a row. They haven't lost since the day after I moved into school, and I'm back home now. So.
They haven't lost to who? Since they lost to who?
I forget.
It's gonna be weird when your 2 losses are both to the Giants. That's gonna be awkward to think that the rest of the NFL freaking sucks. Anyways, we're gonna make some NFL picks, talk about college football a little bit and college basketball. And we're gonna start with NFL. Jonah's gonna give us our records.
Yeah. So we've had a few weeks without an update. So right now I have an 11-point lead over Zach. Week 10, I went 5-1, and Zach went 2-4. Over the past 2 weeks, week 11 we were both 4-2. Last week we were both 3-3. We split the Thanksgiving games that we picked. We split Oakland and Carolina. We split Denver and Kansas City. So we came out even for last week. And yeah, Zach's got some ground to make up here. He's got to make up just about 2 points per week down the stretch. So.
Yeah, we're good. Playing time. So this week we got a bunch of good games. At least the cream of the crop seems to be playing each other. So we're gonna start with the Cowboys and Vikings, which is tonight. On the injury report, you'll see the Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer will be listed. He's not going to be at the game. He just had emergency eye surgery for the 3rd or 4th time. So that's probably not a good thing for the Vikings. Dallas is, as Jonah has mentioned, probably 5 or 6 times since we started the podcast in the last 2 minutes, that Dallas is on a 10-game winning streak. And Vikings don't look that great recently. They finally got another win after their 5-0 start, but sitting at 6-5. I'll let Jonah go with this one.
Yeah, so I'm taking the Cowboys. I'm going to continue to ride with the Cowboys until they give me reason to say otherwise. I think the Vikings are going to have trouble scoring points. Like, the thing is, the weakness the Cowboys have is that you can throw on the Cowboys because we don't have a great pass rush, and our secondary is about average, which is better than I thought it'd be, but it's still not great. So you definitely can throw on the Cowboys, and that's our weakness, but the Vikings can't throw on anybody because Sam Bradford's just about the king of, like, the 4-yard out on 3rd and 10.
Yeah.
So I think that our weaknesses don't really match up well with the things that the Vikings do well. Like, we can for sure stop the run, and they don't have much of a run game anyway. So I'd be surprised if the Vikings score more than, like, 10 to 13 points in this game, and I think the Cowboys are going to be able to put up enough to get by them.
So when I was talking to Jonah, I think last week about Dallas, I told him that there are 3 things. You needed 2 of 3 things to beat the Cowboys. The 3 things are a really high-scoring offense, a really good defensive line, and a well above average secondary. Vikings definitely have the defensive line. I don't think that you'd argue with that. They absolutely have a good defensive line.
Yeah, they're going to get pressure on Prescott.
Right.
So.
And the secondary is pretty much Xavier Rhodes, and that's it. And, like, that's good enough to shut up Dez Bryant, but, like, you've won plenty of game without Dez Bryant producing, so that doesn't really count.
Yeah, I mean, receiver still. They're not going to be able to cover him.
Right. And then the offense certainly isn't there. You can't say high scoring and Vikings in the same sentence. No matter, like, your mouth just wouldn't be able to form the sentence, no matter what you said. So for that reason, since they only have 1 of the 3, I'm gonna go with Dallas. I think they will give you a little bit of a test, at least in the first half. It's gonna be a game where I think you will feel like, what the heck, we should be playing much better than this. But then as the game goes on, I think Dallas will win it by probably 13 to 17 points, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think it'll be something like 24-10 or something like that. I think it could be 10-10 at halftime now. I can see that.
Yeah, exactly. So the next one we're going to go to is the Giants and Steelers. In Pittsburgh, Steelers are 6-5, Giants are 8-3. Wow, I almost just said 5-3. Please God, don't ever let us be 5-3. Coming off 6 straight wins, Giants have had a season of streaks. Started off 2 in a row, lost the next 3, now have won the next 6. Let's hope that doesn't stop. Pittsburgh is playing a little bit better now. In Pittsburgh, point spread 6.5. Don't even want to talk about that because that's ridiculous. But the Giants have been winning games that they should have won against teams that aren't that great, and they've gotten by playing not, I wouldn't say poorly, but they certainly aren't playing well. Pittsburgh kind of the same way. They've just lost a few more than we have. I think that the Giants' defense is going to be what wins the Giants this game. I think the offense will finally score a good bit of points, like around 27 to 30 points. That's what they need to score probably to win this game. And I think Pittsburgh will be able to get what they need. But the Giants' defense is going to come up big in the fourth quarter like they have so far and get us like a 30-21 type of win.
Yeah, I see this game being pretty similar to the one we played against the Steelers, which is really a high-scoring, close game. I think that the spread is way too high. I mean, I know the Giants haven't looked super strong, but they are on a long winning streak. I know it's in Pittsburgh, but like the Steelers haven't been playing that great. So I think 7 points is a little steep for the spread. I do think the Giants will cover it, but I think the Steelers will pull out this game, and that's just for a couple of reasons. I think that the Giants are going to have a letdown game eventually because they're not going to be able to keep winning all these games. Eventually, they might be looking ahead to the Cowboys game next week. It wouldn't hurt them a ton to drop this game. So it wouldn't surprise me if they got a little bit complacent in this game. And I think just on the other side of that coin for the Steelers, they need this game because the Ravens keep winning. And so especially if the Ravens beat Miami earlier in the day, the Steelers are going to really need this game in order to stay in the playoff hunt because it's going to be really basically impossible for them to get a wild card at this point, and they really have to win the division. So I see them stepping up in this game. That doesn't indicate that I think badly of the Giants. They're definitely the team in the NFC that I'm most worried about as a Cowboys fan, but I think the Steelers will be able to pull this game out. I think Roethlisberger is going to give the defense some problems.
Yeah, and to everyone that says the NFC East sucks all the time, you guys honestly don't know what you're talking about. Like, the NFC East has been quote-unquote bad because the teams are always pretty good and they just beat the crap out of each other in the division. Like, I don't know the last time that most of the teams in the division didn't go like 4-4 playing each other. Or, 3-3 playing each other. So, I think this division's always been pretty good, but the numbers just don't show how truly good they are. And finally this year, with probably 3 of the top 4 teams, 5 teams in the NFC, all sitting in the NFC East, it's been pretty obvious.
I think that we'll talk about the Redskins in a minute. Why don't we just
we'll get into that one right now. So we got Redskins-Cardinals, 4:25 game with the Giants. This is in Arizona. Arizona's favored by 2. Matchup of 2 teams that have already had a tie this year. Let's see if they can't do it again. Redskins at 6-4-1, Cardinals at 4-6-1, and this has a ton of playoff implications.
Yeah, so I'm going to go, this is a little bit risky, I think, but I'm going to go with the Redskins. I think the Redskins are probably the 4th best team in the NFC. They gave the Cowboys we did beat them last week, but I was very impressed with what I saw from them. Their offense can really score points, and Kirk Cousins actually, as I practically cross myself saying this, is actually a pretty good quarterback. There's a lot of talent on this team on both offense and defense, and like you were saying, I think probably 3 of the 4 best teams in the conference are in this NFC East. And I know this is a tough road trip for the Redskins. It's a pretty long road trip, but the Cardinals really don't look right now. It seems like every pass Palmer throws, or like there's a few passes every game where it's just like, oh, that was miscommunication with the receiver, and it just feels like this team's not on the same page. They pretty much quit in the second half of that Falcons game last week. This team just doesn't look very good to me right now, and I think the Redskins are going to come out of there with a win, and they're going to look in pretty good playoff position after that if they do.
Yeah, I'm going with the Redskins also. Mostly because of everything you just touched on. Like, Cardinals offense seems like last year Larry Fitzgerald had a breakout season playing the slot receiver, and they had a couple other receivers that put up big numbers. John Brown, Floyd did okay. This year it's like Larry Fitzgerald gets, 6-7 catches a game for like relatively close to 80 yards, and then everybody else gets like 2 targets, 1 catch, 10 yards. Like, they have nobody to help Carson Palmer besides Larry Fitzgerald, and David Johnson is, probably 3rd best running back in the NFL, just off the top of my head. So like, they have a lot of talent and they should be a lot better than 4-6. I can tell you that. And their defense is good too.
Johnson, because the passing game is just not clicking right now. So they're not getting a lot out of the run game because defenses are just keying on it. So they really need to get on the same page with those receivers, with Floyd and with John Brown. Like, that, the success of this team on offense last year was because they were getting good stuff out of their other receivers, and that freed up David Johnson to do some stuff. But if he's not getting that room, if they're just putting 7 guys in the box on every play, then the passing game's got to work. And Palmer doesn't look the same as he did last year. Right.
And their defense doesn't look the same either. They're struggling much more than I expected. So I've been going with the Cardinals like every single week. I feel like this is one of the first weeks I've gone against them. So I'm jumping off the bandwagon until they prove me wrong. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to see the Cardinals win this game, but I don't think based off what I've seen from their defense, I don't think they can stop Washington's offense, and then Washington's defense is good enough to at least compete with the Cardinals offense currently, so I'm going with Redskins. So then our last game before upsets and lock is Panthers and Seahawks. It's the Sunday night game in Seattle. Seattle is a 7-point favorite. Panthers coming off a really close, valiant effort against the Raiders where they came back from many, many points down. Actually were winning for a good portion of the fourth quarter and then subsequently blew the game at the end. I don't know if they blew it more so than Derek Carr just won it. So I'm going to go with Seattle here. I think Seattle is still pretty upset about the postseason last year when they lost to the Panthers. So I think Seattle's going to win this one pretty easily because they just came off that horrendous loss to the Bucs. I think Seattle's going to get this one.
I'm a little worried about picking Seattle just because of how, I guess, atrocious they've looked. Just on the offensive side of the ball anyway, in a couple of games this year. But the offense is really streaky. Like, sometimes they are really good. They just couldn't do anything against Tampa Bay. But, like, the team looked like the old Seahawks in the 3 weeks before that against Buffalo with the win at New England, against Philly. So I think they'll probably get it back together this week. They have a pretty nice cushion in that division. The Panthers are, for all intents and purposes, out of playoff contention. If they won all of the rest of their games and got some help, then they might get in. But there's not a huge incentive for this team to win right now. The Panthers are 1-4 on the road, and the Seahawks are 5-0 at home. So that's pretty much the only stat that I need to see. And I'm going with the Seahawks as well. I think the Panthers, I would not be surprised to see them back in the playoffs next year. I don't think there's like a lot of stuff fundamentally wrong with this team. I think they overachieved last year and they've underachieved this year, and the real talent level somewhere in between. I'm going with the Seahawks in this game. I think that they're just the best team and they're at home.
Yeah, I do think that the Panthers will give them the game though, and that I think the Panthers will cover that point spread of 7.
They're just given a lot of these games and games that they haven't won. They're not that team.
And the scariest thing in the world to me is when a good team has a bad year and then gets a really high draft pick and gets a really good player.
I'm already nervous for that for next year.
Exactly. So we'll see what happens there, but I mean that's the case for a lot of teams like Green Bay, Carolina, Arizona. I mean all these teams could get a top 15 pick, and that's not what you want.
Really weird year.
And even Jacksonville, who I read some stories saying that Jacksonville is the greatest 2-9 team in terms of talent and like the history of sports, and how they're gonna get a top 3 pick, maybe top 2 pick, and like just are gonna get exponentially better. So we'll see what happens with that next year. I'll be on the bandwagon again, don't you worry.
Well, yeah, it's like me and the Timberwolves. I'm just staying on the bandwagon until it gets to the destination, no matter how long it takes.
Yeah, it's either going to hit the iceberg and sink, or it's going to get there, and you're going to be on it either way.
Right, I'll be on it no matter what.
All right, so upsets, who you got this week? All right, we'll go lock first. Who you got for your lock?
Okay, I hate to take the Patriots 2 weeks in a row, but I don't like a lot of other potential lock picks this week. I just don't think there's any way that the Rams, with a rookie quarterback, cross the country for a 1 o'clock start time and win this game in New England against one of the best teams in the league. I think Jared Goff looks definitely better than Case Keenum did, but I still don't trust this offense at all. And the defense is really secretly not all that good either. It's certainly better than their offense. Their offense has scored the fewest points in the league by a pretty decent margin, even under the Browns.
And the Texans, who suck just as much, but somehow have 6 wins.
Well, the 2 worst offenses in the league are the Rams and the Bears. The Browns actually have scored more points than the Texans, fun fact. Although they have played more games, but even still. That's always something about the Texans. I just had to get my shot in there to like make up for actually believing in Brock Osweiler. But all of that aside, the Patriots are going to be my lock for the second week in a row. They gave me a scare last week, but
yeah, I'm going Patriots too. Even with Gronk out with back surgery, I mean, really, like it's playing the Rams. They're at home. Yeah, not a lot. I don't think a lot can go wrong here, but they're 13 and a half, 13 points, something like that.
13 and a half. That seems high to me, but
yeah, but I mean, still, it's definitely a double-digit point spread. So, like, you'd almost be assured that they can win that game. So I'm going Patriots also, and then upset. I'm going to go with the Chiefs, who are playing the Falcons. It's in Atlanta. Falcons are 4.5 point favorites. In case you haven't caught on yet, I think I've picked against the Falcons every single week. I don't believe in them at all. And I like the Chiefs' defense a lot. I think they can stop or at least slow down the Falcons a little bit. And then on top of that, their offense showed me a little bit of something against the Broncos this past week. So that's pleasing.
Revolution.
Exactly. So the fact that they can score a little bit of points on the Broncos is at least music to my ears enough to know that they can play well against the worst defense in the NFL.
The worst defense in the NFL.
Statistically, I'm pretty sure that's accurate. They're either 31st or 32nd, so they're pretty close.
In yards they might be.
Yeah, they're
points they're the 3rd worst in the NFC. The Niners are by far the worst, and then they're right about the same as the Saints.
Yeah, so they're not good. They're not good.
And then the only team worse in the NFC is the Browns. So yeah, you're right. They're like the 4th worst in the league.
Yeah, they're a bottom 5 defense, no questions asked.
Yeah, it's a good thing their offense can score a lot of points for them. I'm going with Tampa Bay. They're 3.5 point underdogs in San Diego. I'm a little wary of the long road trip, but they were they're coming off a big performance. I think they're going to see an opportunity to possibly come up and tie the Falcons for the division lead. Like, I think this team can kind of smell the playoffs. They look really good right now. they have wins over legitimately good teams. Like it's not a soft 6-5 by any means. And fun fact, they are 4-1 on the road this year. So
wow.
I'm going Tampa Bay over San Diego for my upset.
That's not a bad one.
Yeah, those are my two favorites. Yours was the other one I liked, but
Yeah, no, I mean, there's not too much to be able to pick this week, so.
yeah.
All right, so college football.
College football. Let's do it.
So we had the rankings come out last night. Just kidding, 2 days ago. Sorry, long week. We have Alabama number 1 still, as expected. Number 2 is Ohio State. Number 3 is Clemson. Number 4 is Washington, making their first appearance in the top 4. Number 5 is Michigan. 6 is Wisconsin. 7 is Penn State. I'll stop at 7 because most likely those are the only 7 teams that theoretically have a chance. If you want me to go 8, it's Colorado. They're playing Washington. They have a lot of teams to jump that I don't think they can jump, so I don't count them in. Listening to Kirby Holkett, who is the chairman of the College Football Playoff Committee, he more or less, you can infer from what he said that basically it's between Washington and Michigan for the 4th spot. If Washington wins, they're in. If Washington loses, it would be Michigan's spot.
Right. Michigan's got no more games.
Right. Michigan won't be playing. We have the 6-7, which is Wisconsin. Penn State is playing for the Big Ten title. So one of those teams will get knocked out. The other team, whoever won that game, still has a loss to Michigan. So that would theoretically put Michigan ahead of them because they both have 2 losses, and Michigan would have the head-to-head. So that's why we're pretty much just thinking that it's between Washington and Michigan. And I know a lot of people want to see Michigan in that top 4.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're making any conversation about who the best 4 teams in the country are, just in terms of, like, best team, I think Michigan pretty clearly belongs in that conversation. But just for resume purposes, obviously all the teams in front of them either have 0 or 1 loss, and Michigan has 2. So it's certainly fair to have them at 5, but I think I think that if any team above them loses, which Ohio State isn't playing again, and Alabama's not losing to Florida, so that leaves Clemson and Washington. If either of those teams loses, I think Michigan should be the team that gets into their spot, even over the Big Ten champion, whoever wins that Wisconsin-Penn State game. But it'll be interesting to see what the playoff committee does. People will be pissed about it one way or the other. People are always pissed about stuff like this. But I don't think you can really go wrong with the potential Alabama-Michigan matchup. That would be like ratings on ratings on ratings. So if they have that in mind, they'll try to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably the easiest decision for the committee in a long time. Like
A lot simpler than usual.
Yeah, like, and just in terms of win-loss record, like you have 4 teams that are ahead of the rest just strictly by wins and losses, which makes it easy to say that that's why they're ahead. And then you've also seen a good bit of competition between teams going out to play at least someone respectable early on. Like, for instance, Ohio State played Oklahoma. That's a really good win early on. So, like, I mean, you can make arguments for a lot of these teams because they finally understand that they have to play somebody other than an FCS school to start the season. And I think Washington's going to beat Colorado, and I think Clemson will beat Virginia Tech, and the top 4 will stay just the way it is. Clemson's a 10-point favorite. Washington's a 7.5-point favorite. I would probably pick Colorado if the game was being played in Colorado against Washington. But since they're going to be playing at a neutral site, I think.
The Niners Stadium.
Yeah, neutral site. Then I don't really put much stake in what Colorado can do there. Colorado is extremely overperforming how good they really are.
Oh yeah, I mean, like they gave us like a decently tough game at Michigan Stadium for a while, but we kind of pulled away at the end. And like at the time, I thought like, well, that's a pretty shaky performance for Michigan. That win certainly looks better now than it did then. but I'd be pretty surprised if Colorado beat Washington. Washington isn't like an outstanding all around team. Like, I think Michigan's better, but you wouldn't get any argument from me. Like, if they won, they certainly deserve to be in the playoff. With their only loss coming to USC, who's a pretty good team in their own right.
Yeah, like that's an outstanding loss to have.
Yeah, and they took like easy care of Washington State, which was a pretty good team. Like
right.
That wasn't even a contest. They like took care of business in that game, which is right. I mean, you can only beat the teams that are on your schedule, you know.
Yeah, and Washington State was coming off a game where they almost beat Colorado in Colorado the week before that. So if you extrapolate that, you'd expect Washington to be able to take care of Colorado pretty easily.
Yeah, I think that's that's tomorrow night, right? That's the Friday game? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tomorrow. So that'll be an interesting game. The conference championship games, we really got good ones. We have what's effectively the Big 12 championship game with the Oklahoma State-Oklahoma game on Saturday. And that should be interesting. Oklahoma State definitely got screwed somewhat by that Central Michigan game, which, like, it's not just like they should have won it. Like, they did win that game, and the refs gave Central Michigan an extra play, and it went down as a loss. I don't know whether or not the playoff committee is factoring that in or not, but if this was a one-loss Oklahoma State team, the whole rankings could be very different. I don't think they're going to beat Oklahoma, especially with the game at Oklahoma, but I think that should be a very interesting and very high-scoring game because neither team plays any defense at all in the true Big 12 football tradition.
As Kirk Herbstreit said last week when he was talking about, I think it was an SEC game, they were saying, like, first to 20 wins it, and then they started talking about a Big 12 game after that, and they're like, first to 80 wins this one. It's true Big 12 fashion for sure. I wish that Oklahoma had at least a somewhat of a chance to get into the title game or into the top four, just because I think personally right now, like at this very moment, the four best teams, if you take into account how well they're playing right now, are probably Alabama, Oklahoma, USC, and then you pick the last one, somebody else. But like I think
Ohio State in there. As much as I hate them,
I don't feel like I feel like they've been underperforming, at least recently. Like I don't think they played well against you guys at all.
No, they played really badly until overtime, pretty much.
Right.
But yeah, and they did have a tough time with Northwestern even, and they put a whipping on Nebraska, but Nebraska's no good.
Yeah, Nebraska's a joke.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, you could make an argument for a bunch of teams there. Clemson's starting to step their game up, but they've had some games that were closer than they should have been, too. Like, it's a little bit of a strange year. But it does set up pretty nicely, like you said. It is a shame, though, that there's no real way to get Oklahoma in there. If they win this game, though, they'll get a nice bowl game anyway. It'll be a pretty successful season overall, but they'll be kicking themselves if they didn't win that Houston game in the first week.
Yeah, for sure. But I do think, like you just said about Clemson, it's definitely something to see a rivalry game be such a one-sided affair like Clemson just had with South Carolina.
Yeah, they mean business now. I think they're stepping it up.
Yeah, this is a fantastic time to get hot, too.
Yeah.
I still don't see anyone beating Alabama, but Clemson's been on my mind since the beginning of the year as a team that I thought had a chance just because they were just there last year. They have pretty much the same offense. Defense, you lost.
Like the whole offense.
Exactly. In defense, you lost a couple parts. Some of your bigger parts like B.J. Goodson and both the corners and safeties and all those. I mean, you lost a good amount, but they have so much talent still on that defense. So I don't know. That's a team that's definitely interesting. They've flown under the radar all year long just because they haven't really played the way that people are expecting, but they also haven't really lost. Pitt is a good team. Like losing to Pitt isn't the worst thing in the world, but you should probably still shouldn't.
Penn State's only other loss, besides us too.
Exactly.
It's a respectable team to lose.
Yeah, and they're now ranked finally, so they're definitely good.
Yeah,
but
deservedly.
yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I still see Alabama reigning strong at the end.
Yeah, we were discussing this before we started recording, but what's the over/under on points in this game for Florida? Is it like 2.5? Would you put it
there? I think I would go 6.5.
6.5?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take the under on that.
I told Jonah I thought that Florida, like say Florida gets the ball first, go down the field, kick a field goal, because Alabama's kind of like, whatever, we're better than this team. Then all of a sudden they'll snap into it and beat them like 35-3.
Alabama does this all the time.
They did it freaking.
It's like, oh, the end of the first quarter, it's 3-3, and then you look at the final, it's like, oh, okay, the final was like 31-6.
They were losing to Chattanooga 3-0, like a good 7 minutes into that game.
I know. I was watching that in a restaurant, and I was like, wait a minute, what's going on right now? And then I look up again later, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, the final score is like 56-3. It's like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Alabama for you. Trust the process.
And this is the first year that like they've had a quarterback who's not just a game manager. Like he's like an integral part of their offense. Like he's the most important player on the offense.
Yeah, like he is their offense.
Right. Like in the past, it's been a receiver like Amari Cooper. It's been a running back like Ingram or Derrick Henry or whoever it happened to be that year, T.J. Yeldon. And the quarterback was just the guy who got those people the ball. And he had to be good, but he wasn't the most important guy. And now their offense runs through the quarterback, which is how most football teams do it. But they look even better this year and more dominant than usual.
Right. Like if you went through Alabama's last 10 years and mentioned, like, if you just started by saying every good player you could think of from Alabama, I think it would take you a good 100 players until you got to a quarterback.
I think you'd say Captain Webb before you said her.
Like, I mean, you have A.J. McCarron, I would say probably their best quarterback, yes?
Yeah, I mean, I put him above, like...
Greg McElroy, yeah. But you have Amari Cooper, you have Julio Jones, you have Trent Richardson, you have Mark Ingram, you have T.J. Yeldon, you have Derrick Henry, and then the defense, you can't even, like, I don't even know what to tell you about the defense. I don't know how one school...
9 players drafted every year from that defense.
And they're still the best team in the nation every single freaking year. Like, I don't understand how it works, but, I mean, they gotta...
It's like... They're like if Kentucky was better at what they do in basketball.
They're like if Kentucky could actually coach and, like, figure out how to
Kentucky
develop...
was well coached.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, if they could actually develop their talent, that would be what Alabama is.
Right, exactly.
So, speaking of Kentucky, would you like to talk about the Big Ten ACC Challenge?
Yeah.
Being that Kentucky's in neither conference?
Well, there is a good, there is a nice Kentucky game coming up. What is that, Saturday night?
Yeah, UCLA on Saturday.
UCLA?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. You get to watch Lonzo Ball. I've never rooted harder for a single player in a college basketball game ever. It's like my favorite current college basketball player against my least favorite college basketball team.
So
yes, I hate them more than Duke.
So last night, Lonzo Ball set the freshman record at UCLA for the most assists with 13. At the exact same time, his brother scored 72 in a high school game. And
so are his brothers twins?
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be like the Morris twins, but way more exciting.
Dude, he scored 72. He's averaging.
I
The
know.
one of them is average. I don't know which. LaMelo, I think is his name. Is averaging 51.3 points per game in his high school season so far. So.
Yeah, that's okay. That's not bad.
Yeah, I think he's gonna make a name for himself, to say the least. Anyways, go ahead.
I remain pretty happy with my prediction of UCLA winning the Pac-12. My prediction of Wisconsin winning the Big Ten looks less good, but I like my Pac-12 predictions.
I mean, I still like my Arizona pick.
Well, yeah, it's just going to be hard for them. I mean, because no one knows anything about Trier.
Right.
We can only guess why he might have possibly been suspended.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can we? They're playing Gonzaga. What's the third? That's Saturday.
The third is Saturday.
Yeah, they play Gonzaga on Saturday. That'll be a good game, like a litmus test kind of game. Then they play a couple other good opponents before they get into.
Yeah, Gonzaga's tough. I saw them. I saw their game against Iowa State, which was during the Giants game, so you probably didn't see much of it. But
yeah, but
I didn't watch too much Browns football.
I like the team.
Yeah, they're scrappy. Like they kind of let Iowa State back in that game, but then when it was crunch time, they shut them down.
I thought Nigel Williams-Goss, I was a huge fan of when he committed to Washington and he since left and now is playing at Gonzaga, and I think that elevates them to different levels.
They always get good transfers. Kyle Wiltshire was, which, good for him getting away from Coach Cal. But
so
we haven't talked at all about the ACC or the Big Ten yet.
And let's continue it. Let's continue it really quick because I just want to mention one team, TCU. Believe it or not.
Jamie Dixon.
Could you guess their record right now?
Have they lost yet?
They have not.
What are they, 6-0?
7.
7?
Yep. And it's not like they're playing.
Pretty good.
Yeah, not like they're playing scrubs. They've actually beaten Washington twice in a row. Believe that or not.
They beat Washington twice.
They beat Washington
at UNLV.
Yep, beat Washington Saturday and Wednesday. Never really seen that in college basketball before, but really good win right there. UNLV is good.
Well, their first conference game's against Kansas, so.
Yeah, no, don't expect it to continue. I'm just saying, a 7-0 TCU, something's up. That's all I have to say.
No, Jamie Dixon's a great coach. People were surprised when he went here. He went to TCU long ago, so they're one of 2 teams in the Big 12 that have lost so far. The other one being Baylor. So it looks pretty good for them.
Exactly. All right. Anyways, ACC Big Ten Challenge. ACC won it for the first time in the last 8 years, or second time in the last 8 years, something like that.
It's like the U.S. winning the Ryder Cup.
Basically, yeah. Miracles do happen. Even though I strongly believe the ACC has had the better conference for, the majority of those 8 years.
It's like the Big Ten's always deep.
That's true. That's true.
Like, all their teams are usually at least competent.
Right.
Besides, Rutgers and Nebraska.
Yeah, no, you're right. And, I mean, the ACC even won this challenge with, something like NC State lost to Illinois. I consider that a decent-sized upset. That was really it, though. UNC lost to Indiana, but everybody else pretty much held strong. So the only wins for the Big Ten were Penn State over Georgia Tech, which is a battle of the bottom of both conferences. Illinois over NC State, and Wisconsin over Syracuse, and then Indiana over UNC. So they won 4.
And then also Northwestern over Wake.
Oh, right. That was Wednesday. That was Monday. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That was another good win. But, yeah, so...
Yeah, I think Northwestern might make the tournament this year, finally.
Chris Collins in the house.
Yeah, these Duke guys are just everywhere. At Marquette, Northwestern, they're all over the place.
Bobby Hurley's at Arizona State. Yeah, we're populating the country.
They always get these jobs.
But I think so. I would say that these are probably the ACC is by far the best conference in basketball. You can't argue. I don't care if you argue that. You need to not watch basketball or something because it's so clear cut.
I think Big Ten is second, but they couldn't handle all this.
I think Big Ten is second too, but I also think you could make the argument that between the Pac-12 and the Big 12 that they're pretty damn close.
Yeah, that's true. Baylor's looking really good to add another team to Kansas, who's always good.
And Iowa State's still good. Monte Morris is fantastic.
And we just talked extensively about UCLA looking great.
Yeah, I think that the Pac-12 doesn't have the depth That's probably why they can't really be in the conversation. But the cream of the crop of the Pac-12 is probably better than that of the Big Ten. Indiana's really good. There's no doubting that. I don't care about that loss to Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne is like better than you actually think. And whatever, they were looking ahead to North Carolina. Things happen. I don't mind that loss, like, even a little bit. And then I don't think Wisconsin is fantastic, but they're definitely not bad. Michigan State is going to get better. That's a team come March that you don't want to play, I promise you that much. Miles Bridges is the real deal. He's like Nigel Hayes, except more athletic, so that's huge for him. And then the rest of the teams in the Big Ten are like slightly above mediocre, I would say.
Yeah, but like, right, there's not that many bad ones. I mean, they're obviously not as good as the ACC, but like, even like Minnesota gave Florida State a tough game at Florida State. So like, there's good teams in this conference.
Right, like I would say probably Rutgers, Illinois, and Rutgers, Penn State, and Nebraska are probably like the three worst teams in the Big Ten. But then, I didn't even talk about Purdue. Purdue is really good too. They're cream of the crop. But
yeah, Purdue threw a scare into Louisville. Like Louisville took a huge lead at first, and then Purdue kind of started to come back, but Louisville held them off. I don't think Louisville's that good. I know you don't either.
No, Louisville sucks. Trust me on that. Purdue has 2 losses, one of which was at home to Villanova, who's the number 2 team in the nation. Like, no kidding, you're going to lose that game. Villanova is really good. And then the other one was...
They're just quietly just, like, winning all these games.
Right, and the other one was at Louisville on Wednesday, which is, again, not a bad loss at all. You're on the road in a pretty tough environment. And you started out the first half by scoring 19 points. Like, good freaking luck.
Yeah. No, I know.
So, what I did last week was basically go through, like, the top 10 teams and just say if I thought they were achieving, underachieving, overachieving, if they had a chance. And then I ended up making a Final Four prediction of, I said Duke and Indiana would be the locks. Interestingly enough, Indiana went on to lose to Fort Wayne that night. And then I said UNC and Kentucky would be the other 2 that I would put in the Final Four if I had to pick it right now.
Yeah, I think this was. I mean, obviously, UNC didn't play well at all in that game, but I think it was kind of a loss they can build off of. Like, this team needed to lose a game early. Like, they needed to get their asses kicked and just kind of look at themselves and assess, all right, we need to do more work to get to be the kind of team that we want to be in March. And I think this loss will help them in a lot of ways. I'm not concerned about the ranking. Hey, it's always tough to come in to the gym in Indiana and win a game. That's like the loudest arena in college basketball. And I don't know, Indiana was definitely underranked at 13, so that wasn't that bad of a loss at all. But yeah, I don't think it's that bad for them.
So if you had to pick, like I think that Indiana and Duke are like pretty much locks in my mind, at least, to make the Final Four, and then the other 2 are like, I'm pretty sure about it, but I can't say that they're a lock. Do you have anyone that you think is a lock to make the Final Four, or do you have 4 teams that stand out in your mind?
The only team I would lock is Duke. I don't think I'd make Indiana a lock to make it. I think they have a pretty good shot, but...
You know I'm recording this, right?
Oh, yeah. No, this Duke team is really good.
I'm just making sure you know.
I might not be reverse thinking them, but we'll see. Yeah, I think Kentucky will probably get in, as much as that pains me to say. But yeah, there's a lot of different. There's a lot in there. I can see Villanova getting there, although that's a little less likely to me. It wouldn't shock me to see UCLA getting there, even, because I could see them getting to the Elite Eight, and then if Lonzo just has a big game, then they could easily get to the Final Four. So there's a lot of teams in there. I wouldn't overlook Kansas either. I know we're not big fans of Jackson, but that backcourt is pretty great. If they could get some good play out of their front court, there's no reason they couldn't be there either. So if I had to guess right now the teams that would be in it, I would probably say Duke, Indiana, Kentucky, same as you. I'm not as confident. I'm not super confident in North Carolina. Maybe I'm just downplaying my own team here, but I might throw Kansas as that fourth team instead. But yeah, I don't have any issue with your predictions either.
So Kentucky does play. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 ranked teams the next month. That is
actually gave themselves a tough schedule for once in their lives.
Only in 1 month. The rest of the time they just don't play anybody, so it's not even important. They play UCLA. They just played Michigan State a couple. What was that? 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, something like that. Then they play UCLA. They play UNC and they play Kentucky. So those are all pretty good games. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, they are Kentucky. They play Louisville. And then they end with Kansas at the end of the season. So that's kind of nice to see that they play some good teams. But
yeah, what's with this thing? Like right in the middle of their conference schedule, they just play Kansas.
The Big 12 the Big 12 SEC Challenge that attempts to be good, even though there's only 2 good teams.
Why did they put it at the end of January? Why didn't they just put it when everybody else does it?
You see, we're talking about the SEC.
Oh, right.
Nothing about them makes much sense. Not to mention, then they would be playing the Big 12, who still believes that conference championships don't matter in football. So there's not a lot of knowledge going around. Right.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, Kentucky has to schedule tougher teams just because, like, their strength of schedule is not going to be good in their conference. Like, there's only one other ranked SEC. No, there's 2 actually. South Carolina is ranked now. South Carolina and Florida are both ranked, but they're ranked 20 and 24. Like, there's not a lot of big teams coming in for Kentucky. So.
Florida's about to play Duke too, and that'll probably knock them out of the top 25. So.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I don't think they're that good anyway. So.
Exactly.
South Carolina's 6-0 though. They look kind of frisky.
They're good. They smoked Syracuse.
Yeah, they had a big one over Michigan too.
Yeah, they're not bad. They were good last year. They're a team that definitely keep your eye on.
Yeah, they were just outside the bubble last year, right?
Yep. Which was, I don't know. That was more because the SEC is so bad. So like, how do you?
Right, they didn't really have any big wins.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't know. I think college basketball is setting up to be outstanding this year.
Yeah, I think so too.
So we'll see what happens there, I guess. You got anything else?
That's about all I got.
All right. So we'll see you next week. Hopefully I'm making a run at Jonah in NFL standings. But other than that, a lot of good college football championship games on Saturday and one on Friday. Good college basketball, good hockey, good everything. So have fun. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you back here next week.